I would film a reel, I would watch it, and then I would immediately cringe and delete it. Oh, I can't watch that. Oh, I don't like my voice. I don't like the way I sounded. I said that a little weird. It just wasn't perfect. And I just couldn't post something if I watched it. So I just started just filming reels and posting them without watching it, because I knew if I'd watch it, I wouldn't be able to post it. And here's the thing, I stayed in that state for so long that I would have to refilm over and over and over again. It was taking up so much time and energy. And then finally I would just freeze and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't post it. And then something changed. I finally figured out what was going on underneath. And once I took care of those things, everything shifted. I'm going to tell you what all three of those things are, because 7 months ago, I allowed myself to just start posting. And now there's over 14,000 subs on my channel, and it grows by nearly 60 subs every single day. God has a platform for you. If you are a spirit-led creator and you know you have a message that can impact the world, but you just feel like that it's impossible to share online, there's probably something going on underneath. And I'm going to share with you the three most common things that most people are dealing with, and the one that nearly kept this channel from ever taking off. Hi, I'm Jenny, and I help spirit-led creators clear any blocks in their life so that they can build the platform and get the message out that God has placed on their heart. Welcome to my channel. Before I give you those three key things, I just want to ask, what do you think it would be like if spirit-led creators were at the top of every industry? What if they were the ones that were operating the news? What if they were at the top of businesses? What if they were the billionaires of the earth that were influencing their government people to pass godly bills? What if they were the top influencers on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook? How different do you think our world would look? And what if that's what God actually wants? What if he actually wants spirit-filled creators to be at the very top? Well, I think that he does. I think that he wants us to influence the church powerfully in amazing ways. And what if it's not him that's actually blocking us? What if it's things that are going on inside of our hearts? Here's what I realized, that there was this need to protect myself from people's judgments, accusation, and criticism. And because I subtly don't enjoy, who does, being criticized or blamed for things that are not true or that I don't think are true, then I would want to be able to cover all my bases and say all the right things and do the right things and make sure that people understand what I say. But then I looked at Jesus and I was like, wait, he did not go out of his way to try and convince people that their understandings of him were wrong. He would say things that were very provocative and people would misunderstand him, drink my blood, eat my flesh. They would turn away and leave, and he wouldn't be like, hey guys, just to clarify, that was symbolism. He didn't chase after people. He didn't clarify. He let himself be misunderstood, even though he was actually perfect. And so that makes me believe, Jenny, you're not actually perfect. And so how much more are people going to misunderstand you? But then, it wasn't really about people misunderstanding me. As I dug deeper in my heart, I had to ask myself, what do I think it actually means whenever people accuse me or they misunderstand me? Why does that bother me? And as I looked in my heart, I'm like, well, it bothers me because it feels like they're rejecting me. It feels like they're saying something's wrong with me, that I'm broken or that I'm bad. And I'm just scared that maybe deep down, maybe they're right. Maybe that's true. But I don't see Jesus acting that way. I don't see him being afraid that he's bad or wrong because of people's beliefs or thoughts about him. I see that he's so rooted in the truth of who he is and God's acceptance and love for him that he's able to be misunderstood. And for us, it even goes a little bit deeper, because we are going to be wrong about some things. Nobody has everything 100% right. And do we give ourselves grace, or do we condemn ourselves or need obsess over protecting ourselves because we're so afraid of being wrongly accused? And the thing is my personality type is bold and direct, and the worst thing you could do for my personality is to falsely accuse me of something that I did not commit, because I have a very honest, justice-based personality where I just have very I'm such a rule follower. And so it bothers me whenever people aren't following the rules, and my husband's the complete opposite of me. He's it's a guideline, it's not a big deal. And so for me to be falsely accused feels so invasive. So what I can do is I can let that rule me when it comes to media and sharing things. But whenever I go the other direction and I decide, you know what, Jenny, you're just not going to get everything out in a 15-minute video. You're not going to be able to cover all your bases and make sure that everyone understands the intent of every single thing, because Jesus Christ himself could not cover all the bases to make sure everyone understood his intent. And what did he do? He actually allowed them to misunderstand him. And so James 3 has changed my life. In it, there's a verse that says, wisdom from above is first pure, peaceful, gentle, and willing to yield. And at first that bothered me so much. I'm like, why would truth from above be willing to yield? Like, it's truth that needs to be shouted from the rooftops. People need to understand it. It needs to be forced down their throats, almost, just, where I was coming from. And then I realized that's not what Jesus is like, though. He didn't force people to believe what he had to say, because he knew they had free will, and he trusted God enough and had enough humility to present it and be okay with people either receiving it or not receiving it. And so if I want to be like God, if I want to be humble and gentle and peaceable and have wisdom from above, then I need to be okay with presenting something, and not everyone's going to believe it. Not everyone's going to accept it as true. Some people are going to condemn me over it, and that has to be okay. So are you willing to be misunderstood, just like Jesus was? Are you willing to be humble enough to not argue with people and allow them to believe what they believe? Are you gracious enough towards others and towards yourself that you're okay with not being perfect? Because if you aren't, you're never going to be able to bring the message to the world that God has given you, because you're going to be so tied up and so fearful of misunderstandings that it is going to be so overwhelming that you're not going to be able to cover all your bases, and you're going to spend so much time and mental energy on every video that you're not going to keep producing videos, because it's just going to be too much. So when we're able to be okay with people misjudging us, just be humble. And this is what really helps me on my channel, is I'm not looking for the world to follow me. I am only looking for my people. And when I have someone show up in the comments that is not my people, then I just hide their comment. I just give them a gracious reply. Sometimes if it's a nasty comment, I just hide it from the channel. But I just say to myself, they're not my people. This isn't my people. Not all people are going to be my people. Not all people were Jesus's people. And he was okay with not everyone being his people. Just have the mindset of, I'm here to find my people that God has for me to speak to. And I'm not trying to speak to all people. I'm trying to find the people that God has given me. And I think that will be really helpful. Before I tell you the thing that nearly crippled this channel and kept it from ever taking off, I'm going to give you the second most common thing that keeps people from really delivering the message that God has for them to the world. And here's the honest truth, that it's going to take some extra time, energy, and bandwidth to get this thing off the ground. And so sometimes we look at our lives and we think there's so much on our plate. I couldn't possibly add one more thing, but we're not really looking at it in the right mindset. First of all, we have to look at the time. And so we have to say, this is not forever. This is not adding something huge forever to my plate. In fact, I'm building something that will offset other income. So say you're building a YouTube income that can offset your full-time income, so that now you can have a lifestyle that's conducive to family and ministry and being more present with God and being more present with the day-to-day things on your plate. And so if you're looking at as full-time job plus content creation is going to break me, then maybe look at it as, for a short period of time, I'm going to dedicate a partial amount to YouTube. And so I'm going to have my full-time job, and then I'm going to have a section of my life that I'm going to dedicate to content creation. And then once I hit certain metrics and certain goals, then I will switch so that I will maybe go to a part-time job and full-time content creation. And then once I hit certain metrics, I will go to full-time creation and quit my day job as I continue to build. If you need help with this, I have a PDF below that actually helps you set out these steps, set out these goals for any sort of business that you want to start, so that you're not in this mindset of just all or nothing. And so any of us can do anything for a short period of time. None of us should do all things for all time. That's looking for a nervous system failure. That's looking for a crash. So you might look at your schedule and you say, what for this next 3 months, for this next 6 months, for this next time period, can I take off of my plate or release and let go of? Is there something I'm committed to? Is there a board I'm a part of? Is there something I'm teaching? Is there something extraneous that my kids are doing that I could temporarily pause for a period of time to be able to build this online platform or this content creation or do this digital business so that I can get to a certain point? And once I get to that point, then I can step down from part of my working or part of my clientele or part of the other things that I'm taking on to increase this so that over time we can switch them. And so that is how I was able to move from being a full-time hairdresser into no longer hairdressing at all. I was able to start cutting back my clientele and growing other areas, other businesses in my life until I was able to completely stop on the hairdressing side. And so it wasn't just like, hey, I'm quitting everything today, no more clients, zero, and then I have no income, and then I'm just going to try really hard and be in the hole for 9 months until I build something over here. That's not how it worked. It was actually like a 5-year transition. So don't let the fear of being overwhelmed block you from taking baby steps and transitioning into something else. It is not all or nothing. Wisdom would have you do it based on seasons and goals and not just flip-flop. Unless, of course, God tells you himself to completely stop one thing right now and completely start something new. I don't usually find that God is all or nothing. Of all that, at the church I've started, the school I've started, the businesses that I've owned, the rentals that we've had, only one time has God ever told me to stop. And it was still a transition out. Maybe I did that transition because for me, I needed that transition, but it was still hard to take those steps, just to be honest with you. But God is so faithful. And I know that he's going to be faithful for you too. That doesn't mean there won't be fear. That doesn't mean that there won't be mystery and things might be uncertain and that might feel hard, but he's still going to come through despite how you feel. As long as you are being a good steward, you are being wise, and you are stepping into this. And whenever I'm saying being a good steward and being wise, I'm not saying be a control freak and keep it all within your own abilities. Like, stepping out of the boat does involve a risk, and it does involve walking on water, which is not tangible, but God has got you. And he will keep you walking on the water as long as your eyes are on him and not on the waves and the circumstances. And even if you fall below because you are filled with fear, because you look at the circumstances and they seem overwhelming, he will pull you out of the water. He has done it for me time and time again, so many times. The thing that actually stopped me from building this channel sooner was that I was trying to build a Cadillac when I only needed a bicycle. I was looking at people's 5-year, 10-year end game that have 100, 200,000 follower channels. And I was comparing my little baby channel to those mature channels that had had so much time, practice, fine tuning, working, that editing, growth. I was comparing their channels to my very first video. And so last July, a year ago, I spent all day filming all of this B-roll for a video. I did doing laundry. I did cooking dinner. I did redoing a dresser. I did like B-roll with my kids. And then after I spent all day long, literally so stressed, I was doing so much filming in one day, which I do not recommend. I would make it like trickle out over a week and just kind of be more gentle with it. And then I went into editing, and I edited and I edited and I edited and I edited. And then I sat it on the shelf. And I never posted it. I had analysis paralysis. I wanted a perfect Cadillac when all I needed was a bicycle. And so what did it do? It almost never got posted. It almost never took off. I almost never started a YouTube video. And then I realized that I need to look at this in a different way. I need to look at this as a bicycle. This is just starting momentum. This is my first vehicle. This does not have to be a full built luxury machine from the get-go. This can simply be a mechanism to start taking off. I looked at the video and I said, good enough. I'm going to go ahead and post it. And it was the very first video that I posted whenever I decided to really make this channel work, whenever I decided to take it seriously and to commit to posting one video every single week for the next 5 years if I needed to, until I got my first 1,000 subscribers. Now, it ended up only taking me about 4 videos to then take off and get my 1,000 subscribers. But just think about that. If I would have never posted it, then I would have never started this channel, and then I would have never taken off. And so you just need to start. Don't make it have to be like 3 cameras that you're editing together and then you have to stitch all this thing together, because you're going to overwhelm yourself with so much on your plate that it is going to end up giving you paralysis. You're going to be studying so much and trying to do so much and trying to make it so perfect that you will shut down and you cannot continue that rhythm. You need to give yourself grace of the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule says that 20% of what you do will make 80% of the difference. You do that 20% that is the most important, and it will do 80% of the work. Like, focus on just getting it filmed. Focus on just getting it rough edited. Focus on just a little bit of B-roll, having a good hook, having a powerful title, and having a great thumbnail. And then aim those things at your avatar to solve their pain points. If you need help understanding who your avatar is, that is absolutely the most fundamental thing that you could do. Check out the PDF below. I built you a free PDF to help you nail down your avatar so that you can really start your channel and not dilute yourself before you even get started. And so give yourself grace. Just start posting. Figure out who you're speaking to, figure out why you're talking to them and how you can help them. And then just start making videos. Start posting. Look at it as practice, not as perfection, and get off the ground, because God has a message for you to bring to the world, and you're never going to bring it to him if you can't give yourself grace, if you can't just tune out the critics, focus on those that you are trying to speak to, build a bicycle, not a Cadillac, and make space, make a few sacrifices in your current life just to give yourself the space and bandwidth to start something small. And once you start something small, give yourself goals that you can grow and that you can give yourself goals to hit and then actions to take after those goals. Perfectionism is just us needing to be in control. And so let go of perfectionism and build yourself a bicycle, not a Cadillac. Self-protection is actually just a form of pride. We are trying to protect ourselves from being accused. We don't want to be wrongly accused. Why is that? Because we want people to think well of us. Why do we want people to think well of us? That's our pride. Let's just be humble and just realize people are going to say negative things, but that doesn't change who we are in the eyes of the Lord. And that's where our real identity lies. And then the fear of overwhelm and cost is just quiet unbelief. We have to believe that when we get out of the boat, that our feet are going to walk on water. And as we keep our eyes on him, he will never let us drown.